Summary of The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. The play starts with Algernon Moncrief playing the piano in his fancy London flat while his maid, Lane, prepares tea for Algernon's Aunt Augusta, Lady Bracknell, and her daughter, Gwendolen Fairfax, who Algernon expects to come soon. Surprisingly, Lane tells Algernon that his friend Mr. Ernest Worthing, Jack, is coming. Algernon welcomes back his friend from the country. Jack tells Algernon that he has come back to town to propose to the girl he has been seeing, Gwendolen. Algernon talks to Jack about a woman named Cecily when he hears this news. At first, Jack says that this woman doesn't exist, but Algernon shows him a cigarette case that Jack left behind the last time they went out to dinner together. From little Cecily, with her deepest love, to her dear Uncle Jack is written on the box. Faced with this proof, Jack tells the truth and says that he has been living two lives. Cecily is his real charge. He goes by Jack in the country, but Ernest in the city. He has the same name as his made-up brother, a naughty character whose scandalous behavior brings Jack back to the city often to fix his brother's problems. In fact, Jack uses Ernest as an excuse to get out of his chores in the country and live a fun life in the city. Jack's act proves to Algernon that his friend is a skilled Bunburyist, or someone who lies to get out of doing things. Algernon says that he is also a skilled Bunburyist. He says that he made up the word Bunburyist after his imaginary sick friend Bunbury, whose illness often makes him go to his friend's bedside. Lady Bracknell and Gwendolen soon arrive at Algernon's apartment. Algernon does something to distract Lady Bracknell while Jack asks Gwendolen to marry him. She agrees because the name Earnest has always been her favorite, and she makes it clear that she could never marry a guy with any other name. This makes Jack nervous, and his nerves get even worse when Lady Bracknell walks in and interrupts his proposal. When Gwendolen says she's getting married, Lady Bracknell clears the room so she can talk to Jack about where he lives, his money, and his family. When she finds out that Jack doesn't have parents and was taken in by Mr. Thomas Cardew because he found him in a backpack left in a coatroom at Victoria Station when he was a baby, she tells Gwendolen she can't marry Jack and storms out of the flat. Jack and Gwendolen say goodbye, and Algernon, who is interested in Jack's young charge, plans to see his friend Bunbury. Act 2 starts at Jack's country house in Hertfordshire, where Miss Prism is having trouble getting Cecily to pay attention to her German lessons. Dr. Chasuble, the rector, comes and asks Miss Prism to go for a walk. Merriman tells Cecily that Mr. Ernest Worthing is coming while she is alone. Algernon is pretending to be Ernest, Jack's brother, but Cecily thinks he is the real thing. Soon after that, Jack comes in wearing black because his brother Ernest has just died. When Jack finds out that Algernon is at the estate lying to be Ernest, he is furious, but he has to keep up appearances so that his own lies and deceptions don't come to light. Algernon, who is charmed by Cecily's beauty and charm, asks her to marry him. She is not surprised at all, because her notebook says that they have been engaged for 3 months. She tells him about how they met and fell in love. She also tells him that she has always wanted to marry a guy named Ernest. Algernon runs off to find Dr. Chasuble, and Gwendolen shows up to surprise Jack. Cecily calls her to the garden for tea, where she tells Gwendolen that she is going to marry Ernest Worthing. Gwendolen tells Cecily that she is actually going to marry Ernest. Before Jack and Algernon arrive, each of them has gone to see Dr. Chasuble about being named Ernest. The women make fun of each other as they wait. Jack and Algernon have tricked the two women, and they realize it. They want to know what happened to the mysterious Ernest. Jack tells Cecily and Gwendolen that Ernest is not a real person but a story, which makes them even more angry. In Act 3, Jack and Algernon's lies are brought up by Cecily and Gwendolen. Jack says he changed his name to Ernest so he could see Gwendolen more often, and Algernon says he did the same thing so he could meet Cecily. The two women are happy with these answers, but they won't fully forgive Jack and Algernon until they tell them they are going to be named Ernest that afternoon. When Lady Bracknell comes to get Gwendolen, she stops this happy moment. Gwendolen says she is still going to marry Jack, and Algernon says he is going to marry Cecily. Lady Bracknell says that she doesn't like Jack and doesn't like Cecily either, until Jack tells her that Cecily is the heiress to a lot of money. Lady Bracknell wants Algernon to get engaged because she is interested. However, Jack, who is Cecily's son, won't agree to the match until Lady Bracknell approves of his engagement to Gwendolen. Lady Bracknell doesn't agree, so she turns to Miss Prism and says that she lost her sister's baby son 28 years ago. Miss Prism admits that she lost the boy and says that she put him in a handbag and put it in a coat room at Victoria Station. Jack figures out that he was the child who had been left on the street and uses the suitcase as proof. Jack and the others go to the library of the house to find proof. There, they find an army list that names Jack's father as Mr. Ernest John Moncrief. Jack's real name is Earnest. He has found a family name in Moncrief, which he shares with his real younger brother Algernon, and he has learned the vital importance of living up to his family name as he greets his fiancée.
About the author. Oscar Wilde was a writer, playwright, journalist, thinker, and art lover. Wilde went to both Trinity College in Dublin and Magdalen College in Oxford. At Oxford, Wilde was influenced by his teacher Walter Pater's art for art's sake aesthetic philosophy. This made people think of him as an odd, showy, and foppish young man. After he graduated from Oxford, Wilde moved to London and put out his first book of poems, which was well received by critics. Even though Wilde was just starting out as a writer, his reputation as an aestheticism supporter grew during the year he spent giving talks in the US, UK, and Ireland. In 1884, Wilde married Constance Lloyd, a lady from Dublin. In the years that followed, the couple had 2 boys, and Wilde released The Picture of Dorian Gray in installments and worked as a writer and editor in London. In 1891, when Lord Alfred Bosie Douglas was a student at Oxford, Wilde met him and they fell in love. In the years that followed, Wilde's work as a playwright grew. He wrote a number of popular plays for the Paris and London stages, such as Lady Windermere's Fan, Salome, An Ideal Husband, and finally, in 1895, The Importance of Being Earnest. But Wilde's success didn't last long because he got into trouble. In a series of cases, Wilde went up against Lord Alfred's father, the Marquess of Queensberry. These trials showed that Wilde was gay, which led to him being charged with and given a term for gross indecency. After spending 2 years in jail, Wilde moved to Europe to live out the rest of his life. There, he sometimes wrote under a fake name, briefly got back together with Lord Alfred, and became a Catholic. Wilde died of brain meningitis in Paris.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.